In the early 13th century, an empire stretched across Central Asia like a glittering tapestry. From the banks of the Caspian Sea to the fertile valleys of the Oxus River, the Khwarezmian Empire flourished. Its cities, Bukhara, Samarkand, Urgench, were renowned as hubs of knowledge, trade, and culture. Libraries overflowed with scrolls of mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Silk, spices, and gold flowed along the Silk Road, enriching rulers and merchants alike. At its heart stood Shah Muhammad II, a ruler of ambition and pride. His armies were formidable, his walls were impenetrable, or so he believed. The Shah considered his empire untouchable, convinced that wealth and strength could defy any threat. Yet history teaches that confidence can mask vulnerability. The empire's power, its grandeur, and its isolation would soon become its undoing. A storm of destruction, carried by a force the Shah underestimated, approached from the east. It would arrive not in decades but in a single, unforgiving winter. Few could have predicted the catastrophe. For the Shah, the Mongols were distant barbarians, nomads of the steppes who posed no real threat. But underestimating speed, strategy, and psychological warfare would prove fatal. Within months, an empire that seemed eternal would be reduced to ash, its cities erased, its people scattered. This is a story of hubris and speed, of how an empire's pride became the instrument of its collapse. In the shadow of winter, the Khwarezmian Empire would confront a truth it could not escape, that even the mightiest can fall in the blink of a season. Beyond deserts and mountains, across the Mongolian steppes, a new power was rising. Genghis Khan had united nomadic tribes into a disciplined, mobile, and ruthless force. Horsemen born in the saddle, armed with composite bows and unmatched knowledge of the terrain, they could strike faster than any traditional army. A trade caravan arrived at Khwarezmian territory. It carried no weapons, only goods and diplomacy. At Atrar, the governor accused them of spying and executed the merchants. When Genghis Khan sent envoys to demand justice, they too were executed. What might have been a manageable dispute became an irreversible declaration of war. The Mongols responded with precision and terror. In the winter, armies that no one expected to move advanced across frozen deserts and snowbound mountains. Cities fortified for spring defense were caught unprepared. Refugees fled with chilling stories of Mongol tactics, feigned retreats, ambushes, and merciless slaughter. Fear traveled faster than armies. Chroniclers of the time reported that the Mongols killed entire populations and left cities in ruins, often as punishment for defiance. Atrar, a thriving trade city, became a grim warning to all. Leadership errors and overconfidence amplified the empire's vulnerability, and by the time Mongol forces reached the heartland, the Khwarezmian Empire had already begun to unravel. This was not a slow decline. It was a collapse engineered with strategy, brutality, and a deep understanding of human psychology. In this winter, speed and terror would redefine the meaning of conquest. Atrar, once a hub of commerce and wealth, became the first city to face annihilation. Its walls were strong, its garrison numerous, yet months of siege tactics combined with psychological terror brought it to ruin. According to chroniclers, the city's governor was executed in a chilling display. Molten metal poured into his eyes and ears. Survivors were either enslaved or executed, and the Mongols sent a message that resistance was meaningless. The speed of Atrar's fall reverberated across the empire. Neighboring governors hesitated. Merchants abandoned trade. Fear spread faster than armies could march. The Shah, still confident in his power, delayed decisive action. His overconfidence would prove fatal. Next came Bukhara, one of the empire's most illustrious cities. Its streets were lined with mosques, libraries, and markets overflowing with silk and spices. Yet no walls, no armies, no knowledge could protect it. Mongol siege tactics combined brute force with cunning manipulation. The city surrendered within days. Scholars were executed, treasures looted, and streets burned. Contemporary accounts describe rivers turning red with blood and entire neighborhoods vanishing. What had taken centuries to build was erased in days. This was psychological warfare perfected. The mind of the defender collapsed long before the battle was over. Through these events, a deeper truth emerges. Hubris and isolation can render even the strongest defenses meaningless. Fear had begun to work faster than the Mongol swords, and the empire was bleeding from within. Samarkand, the empire's crown jewel, remained the last symbol of power. Tens of thousands defended its walls alongside war elephants and siege engines. But the Mongols' brilliance was undeniable. They used deception, ambush, and psychological manipulation to break morale. Within days, the city surrendered and devastation followed. The wealth of centuries vanished. Libraries emptied, streets turned to ash. Shah Muhammad II fled westward, abandoning his people. Fortress after fortress fell behind him, the empire collapsing like dominoes. By the time he reached a small island in the Caspian Sea, he was an emperor without a kingdom, dying alone while his cities burned. The fall of Urgench, the last major city, was the bloodiest. Street fighting, mass executions, and enslavement decimated the population. Rivers reportedly ran red, and surviving structures never recovered. By winter's end, the Khwarezmian Empire had vanished from maps, erased from memory in the space of a few merciless months. The reasons were clear: overconfidence, fragmented leadership, isolation, and fear exploited by a faster, smarter enemy. Civilization collapsed first in the mind, then on the battlefield. The fall of the Khwarezmian Empire reshaped history. Trade routes shifted. Ideas, technologies, and knowledge spread along paths forged by conquest. Yet the human cost was unimaginable. Millions dead, cities erased, and centuries of culture lost. This story teaches a timeless lesson. Pride and complacency are vulnerabilities. Even the mightiest can fall if they fail to adapt. Empires are fragile, and the tools of wealth and strength are no match for speed, strategy, and psychological insight. When the snow melted, silence remained. Streets once vibrant were empty, libraries gone. Civilization, once thought eternal, was humbled in a single winter. The Khwarezmian Empire's collapse is more than history, it is a warning. It reminds us that even the greatest powers can vanish if arrogance blinds them to the storm on the horizon. Fade to black.